So for this video, I thought I would talk about two different things. First of all, this lovely pile over here of books that recently came into my possession and which I'm very happy about, thrilled about, excited about, and I can just quickly introduce those to you. They're arranged in three different piles depending on the source of where I got them from, but I'll explain as I go. And second of all, I wanted to talk about my plans for May, which I am very excited about and very excited to share with you. So let's begin with the books. First of all, we have these three ones here, which as you can see are a bit different from the others because they're very old. They are books that I found when I was clearing out a shelf in the other room over there in this house, and I hadn't noticed them before. The first one that really caught my attention was this one here, Shelley's Poetical Works. I think it's like meant to be like a complete collection or something, Percy Shelley's poems and things. It's like obviously really old. You can kind of get a sense of what the cover feels like if you look there. It's like there's a little tear and it's got this in the binding, and it's I don't know what it is. It's like wool or something, or cotton, but it's just like a hardback that's really soft to the touch, which is really nice given how incredibly old it is. There's a little note on the front, again terrible glare, sorry about that, on the front in there, because it was a prize for my grandmother in school. It's really glary, so I hope you can see the title page. I'm just going to try and hold it at an angle where you can actually like kind of see the words. I'm not like super into Shelley or anything, but like just scanning these, it includes like all these sort of personal things, like little fragments of poems, and like this one on the first page, there's the To Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin. So obviously it's Mary Shelley who wrote Frankenstein, and you know, like the fact that I've got like little love letters or love poems that he would do. There's a sonnet to Byron, fragment on Keats, and like all these, like some of it looks really personal, so it just seems like almost like I found his diary or something. It's like and there's also like Juvenalia and like these political things like To Ireland and To the Republicans of North America, and so like he's got all these poems for, you know, different occasions and stuff that was going on politically in the world at the time. So like, I don't know, for me that's just super exciting. And like, again, like I'm not someone who's super into Percy Shelley. I don't know much or anything by him. I'm sure I've read stuff by him, I just don't remember it. Anyway, this just seems like such an amazing artifact. It's also got this kind of gold what's it called, edges. But yeah, that's really cool. So that's the first one. Really excited about that, just like dipping into it from time to time maybe. This one is another amazing hardback. It just feels so great in the hand. It is Four Plays and the Aran Islands by J.M. Singh. I think it's pronounced Singh. And this is an Irish writer who's like a really famous Irish writer that I know nothing about. I think I've just heard about him actually since I got here this time to Ireland. And yeah, it's so light. It's incredibly light, and it's just got this like really satisfying kind of sturdiness to it as well. Like I think it's so rare that you get such a balance, like a firm sturdy brick, but also like, you know, like something like as light as air, like a balloon. It's amazing. I don't know what they made this out of. As well as the cover, kind of, I quite like the cover, but also the feel of it in my hand is great. And it's just it's a classic, like famous writer who I've never read anything by, and it's plays. It's got like a bunch of his famous plays in it, and I don't know, like I don't have any other books of theatre or books of plays to read from, so this just really, I don't know, I'm really excited to get to this one as well. And then finally we have a huge complete works of Shakespeare, and I don't know, I just feel like that's a cool thing to have. This is probably the oldest one, so it's probably one that I'm going to be the least now I'm going to read the least, because I feel like a lot of the pages could like fall apart if I read on them. But there's a bunch of Shakespeare plays that I've never read, and sonnets and things that I've never read, so it would be cool if I wanted to sometimes very carefully, like, you know, turn the pages on this one and actually read some of that stuff. And obviously like kind of the draw of these is that they're so old and like have so much history in them as artifacts themselves, that kind of makes the reading experience exciting, at least for someone like me. Next we have these three books I got. Okay, so these are from Japan. So most of the books, well, I don't know, most of the books that I had in Japan I left in Japan or gave away, but there were a bunch that I put into a box and had shipped over, but I did it by, you know, the cheapest way that you can send something, which is by sea, and so that took several months to arrive, and I sent it to London just in case I wasn't exactly sure if I'd be in this house or not all the time. So like, yeah, I went to London to my parents' house, and my parents came over recently, and I asked them if they could to bring me some books, and this is what they brought from my Japan things, which had arrived in London recently. We have The Rest is Jungle by Mario Benedetti, short story collection. Again, like, there's my bookmark, yeah, from Japan, which is very nice to see again after all this time. Yeah, like especially with these two, it's like I'm being reunited with old friends, you know, like I haven't seen them for months and months. So and the last time I saw them was in Japan, so it's really nice to kind of like hold them again and be like, hey, it's you. But yeah, short stories, Uruguayan writer, like really famous Latin American writer, kind of kind of hard to describe his short stories. They span a lot of emotions, lots of dialogue, lots of mundane kind of situations or slice of lifey kind of things, but that sometimes go in really dramatic ways that are quite unexpected. Some are humorous, some are kind of horrific, and some are like dreamlike. And now dreamlike is maybe, well, anyway, yeah, it's a lot of variation, and I don't understand it well enough to be able to articulate it here, but that's The Rest is Jungle. Then there is After Dark by Haruki Murakami. This is one that I've actually read before, like all of it. I read the book ages ago, and I really liked it. It was my favorite Haruki Murakami novel. Something that was cute about this one is that it all takes place in one night, and every chapter has a little clock at the beginning, and so as you read the book, like time keeps on passing through the night, and it goes like I think from sunset until sunrise, or maybe it's from it's just like it's midnight there, right? So from midnight until sunrise, I think. But anyways, it's all set in one night, and I think it's got a kind of more realistic than magical realism thing for Haruki Murakami, but it's also kind of plot based and like kind of almost mystical feel to it, and while people go around meeting other people and strangers interacting in Tokyo nightlife kind of stuff. So yeah, I remember I really loved it the first time I read it. I'm not sure if I still like Haruki Murakami as a writer, but I wanted to have this one handy because Roxy from Chaotic Bibliophile wants to read it as well. So we were talking about we might at some point, when the stars on our schedules align, do a buddy read together of After Dark. So it's good to just have that on the shelf for when that moment occurs. And then this was a present when I left Japan from one of my friends, Shin-san. And it was a really thoughtful gift, but also a really heavy gift. So I was like, how am I going to bring this over? But yeah, I did bring it over, and it obviously made it all the way from Japan. I don't know much about what it is. It's manga. It's manga by a 60s avant-garde mangaka or manga artist. So yeah, there's that. I'm really like looking forward to doing some research, and like I don't know if I'll be able to read all the Japanese yet, but I plan to learn to be able to. So this is a great study tool. I think manga is probably a really good way to study Japanese or any language really, because you've got the visuals and the story is pretty like visually based. So that's that pile. And then finally we have these two. These two are very special because, well, first of all, my friend Alice came over from London to visit me, which was very nice of her indeed, and she brought me books, which are very welcome. I should explain that I have sort of three like sacred texts, like just fictional books that like hit me in a way which no other book hit me, and I kind of like rank them they sort of transcend rankings. They're like, I don't even think of them as favorite books. I think of them as just books that I go to and flip to a page of, and it's always kind of like gonna give me some lines of advice or of beautiful writing that I can then just close the book and go and like get on with my life and feel kind of refreshed by it. So those are like my three special books. One of those is this one, Pedro Paramo by Juan Rulfo, Mexican classic, kind of like precursor to magical realism, about a guy, Juan Preciado, who promises his dying mother that he'll go find his father, Pedro Paramo, in this town called Comala, and it's kind of a ghost town, ghost story, which is amazing. It's so short, 122 pages, it says here, and that's including the introduction, so actually less than that, and it's just one of the best books ever. But this is actually my book, and it's amazing because like I lent this book out because I was so enamored with it to my friends, and I'd forgotten that the last person I gave it to was Alice, and I told her to hang on to it, and now it's come back to me. So this is a book that I haven't seen for 8 years of my life, and now I have it again. It's just such a weird feeling, but also so special. Like, I never thought I would be reunited with this book. I thought like it was just out there in the ether of like friends that I had lent it to, and I thought that was I was fine. I didn't miss it. I was sort of like, yeah, I'll buy another one day. But yeah, this is actually my book that's come back to me now. So that was really nice. It's got like notes in it from other people, like that I'd lent it to, so that's also really cool. And it's got my like random bookmarks that I put in at some point like many years ago. But yeah, 8 years since I've had this in my possession, and now it's come back to me. Like, that's just mind-blowing. And then one of those other two books is this book, The Word Book by Mieko Kanai, and she's got hardly anything else translated into English, and it's often very hard to find the stuff that she's got translated into English. But Alice had this one, which is Otama. This is something I don't really know anything about. I think it's like a kind of like more humdrum, like mundane life, people just going about doing life things kind of book. But yeah, it's also like pretty short, and I've always wanted to read other stuff by like one of my all-time favorite writers, and so now I have that, and like these two books are just things that I can't wait to devour. But the reason I'm not going to read any of these anytime soonish is because May, and that brings us to the second part of the video. May. So last year I did a Greek myth retelling reading month in April. This year April was a bit mad. You know, like I mentioned, like parents came over. What's the parent pile? This is the parent pile. Parents came over, and then friends came over, and I had to do lots of house like things. So and I got a new job actually as well. So it was like it's just like kind of lots of crazy things happening in April. And I was also like, there's still books that I wanted to finish up that I was reading in April. But anyway, I didn't do it in April, but I decided I'll do it in May. So I'm going to do a Greek myth retelling month in May. I'm going to only read Greek myth retellings for the whole month, and then do a kind of monthly wrap-up, like most people do on BookTube. I normally don't do monthly wrap-ups, but for May I will, because it's a special month. Last year when I did it, I got like quite a good balance, if I do say so myself, of Greek myth retellings. Like, we had like old school Sophocles, you know, stuff going right the way up to kind of now hip, trendy Madeline Miller. So and lots of like in between, maybe not lots, but a few in between kind of like significant points. Like, we got a Shakespeare in there, and we had a Seamus Heaney play in there. Personally, I really like that kind of mix, and I want to recreate that if I can for this year. So I'm going to start amassing, I already have started amassing some Greek myth books. I'm going to make a big pile, and then I'm going to pick out the ones that I want to read, and then like kind of read as much as I can, and then report back to you with my thoughts on those Greek myths. But yeah, if there's a particular Greek myth retelling from recent times, or from ancient times, or from any times that you've read that you want me to read, or that you would recommend, then please do let me know. Write down in the comments below, along with any other exciting new books you're reading and stuff like that. Otherwise, see you later. Bye. If I feel kind of buoyant or happy or exuberant in this video, it's because I have all these new books.